Hello, my friends. This is Diana Rankin coming to you with the soul messages, the psychic soul messages, and a few predictions for February the 26th to March 4th, from Sunday to Saturday. So February 26th to March 4th. On Wednesday, I will put out a monthly message for March. But let's start with what we have for this week. I want to say the energy is shifting. There's something changing. It may have to do with the eclipse. I'm not an astrologer, but I'm excited about the shift. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to suddenly be easy and everything we want is possible this week. But what's going to happen this week in that shift is, I think last week I mentioned, and a few weeks before, that we are really in this period of shedding. Well, we're still in that. We have to let go of that which doesn't work in our lives. And this is a week that we're going to have opportunities to recognize what our calling is. And that's exciting to me, that this is a week that we really get to step forward into our calling. One of you asked me if I'm an astrologer, and the answer to that is I'm not an astrologer. I'm not an astrometer. So it's, how do I get my messages? How do I know when I'm doing a private reading? How do I know how to guide you, what to tell you to expect in your life, and how to talk to those people in spirit world whom you love? I want to tell you a little story, because I'm also a storyteller, to tell you how I've learned how to read, and why I feel I can sit here in front of you. I would say stand, but I'm sitting in my blue jeans, which I'm known for wearing a lot. I love blue jeans, don't you? They're so comfortable. Anyway, I divert. I didn't want my calling for many years. I was a poet. I was a writer. I was happy being a poet and a writer. I loved that life. I still write. You can check out my books on my website if you like. I'm still a poet. But when I was a child, about maybe 2.5, under 3 years old, my grandfather died on my father's side. And we didn't know that side of the family very well, which is a whole nother story. But I was at the viewing, and my mother's holding my one hand on one side, and I'm talking to this gentleman on the other side. And I know who he is, and we're having this conversation. And my mother looks down at me and says, "Who are you talking to?" And I said, "Grandpa." Well, she was a little upset by that, because we were a very religious family, and you didn't talk to people who weren't there. And by weren't there, I was taken over to his casket and shown that no, Grandpa's in heaven, he's not here. And I'm saying, to me, he was very real, but I tell you this story because I was taught at a very young age not to speak about what I could see. Now, many children go through this. Many children are psychic. It's common for children to speak to loved ones who have passed over. It's common for them to speak to angels and spirit guides. But around the age of 5, we tend to shut that down. So that said, I did shut it down, and I shut it down as hard as I could. And it was only when I was well into adulthood that I allowed my abilities, my calling, to come out. And it took training, it took other people helping me. And what I heard from other teachers and from my teachers and from other psychics is, I kept hearing, there's a light that just comes right over your head and just feeds you the information you need to know. So that explained to me why I didn't use tools. And one time, years ago, a friend of mine, her name was Kathy, and we used to go to a bookstore. And we would do readings at the bookstore, and part of the money, of course, would go for the bookstore and part for charity. And Kathy would do the cards, and it was always interesting to see her line versus my line. And they were usually about even, but occasionally I would have a longer line and occasionally she would have a longer line. Well, after we did those readings, we would go to dinner and we would talk about it. And so it was really, really interesting as we talked about this. And I said to her one time, you know, let's trade readings while we're here at the restaurant. So we started doing that. And I said, you know, you don't need the cards. And she said, I know. But she said, if somebody doesn't like what I say, I can just point to the cards and say, it's not me, it's the cards. I remember that all these years because she knew she didn't need the cards, but they helped her. And believe me, I'm all for whatever helps us. So I'm not an astrologer. I have the greatest respect for astrologers. I don't use tarot cards, but I have the greatest respect for those who do. If you use a crystal ball, if you use a pendulum, and if you want to use a pendulum, by the way, take a look at my video that talks about how to use a pendulum. I do use muscle testing, and I have a video on how to use muscle testing to get yes or no answers. Whatever tools help you, I highly recommend those tools. I really do. And I don't use the specific tools. I do use a pendulum. I do use the muscle testing. But it doesn't matter whether you're using tools or you've got that stream coming into the top of your head. I believe that we all have that stream coming into the top of our heads. Some of us are just more sensitive to it than others. And for many of you, that stream is going to, this week, that it's like that stream is going to open a lot brighter than it has been, which is kind of cool. And that's not to say we're going to suddenly not have issues going on in our world. This is not an easy time energetically, which is why the call is opening for so many people, because that psychic energy is just like right on the surface. And we are being asked to step in to our greatness. If you want to check out, I have two websites. One is my name. They're both listed below. But one is awakeningintuition.info. And I promise I will get more articles up on there. There are some articles to get you going. I write an article once a week, and usually it'll go out to my newsletter list, and it takes me months before I get it up on the website, and I'm very poor about that, but I'll do my best. I promise to get better about that. But if you would like to be on my mailing list, it is free. You can sign up at either website below. But please do read those articles, the blogs about how to develop your intuition. Read anything that appeals to you. Work with teachers, work with psychics. This is the week to really start opening that up, because we're going to need to use our intuition more and more in this particular energy that we're in. And the energy is there for you. This is the week to answer your calling. And I know I'm hearing all of you saying, what's my calling? How do I figure out what my calling is? Well, it may come in a dream. It may come in a meditation, but I want to give you a ritual to answer your calling. This is one that we've used in workshops that I've done. You don't need a group around you, although if you have a group, that's a wonderful way to hold that energy for you. So if there is a group, absolutely call your group together and answer the calling. And I will get a video out there to demonstrate how we did it. But it's really very simple. Set up an altar of some sort, and even if there's nothing on your altar but a candle and something that has meaning to you, put something on a space in front of you. And then going back, maybe 5 feet or so, 4 or 5 feet, kind of create a pathway. You can do that with using materials. And then perhaps a line between a few feet back from the altar with a piece of material or something. And then stand back and take time to say a prayer, take time to meditate, and then definitely say, I'm willing to accept my calling. You may get what that is in your meditation or prayer. You may not know. You may only get glimpses, and this will be the first step. So as you walk down that path, and you can do this in nature as well, but as you walk down that path, really be serious about taking on the calling, and then step across that last piece, that last barrier, that piece of cloth or stones or whatever you've done to put across. So you've got the path this way, and then you've got something crossing before you step up to the altar. And then you step up to the altar, you step over that last obstacle, and you will feel the emotion of that. Most likely you can hear the emotion that I'm feeling just explaining it in this video. So step across, say thank you, I accept the calling. There's a wonderful little book called The Call by Richard Spangler. I believe I have his first name right. He was part of the Findhorn community in Scotland many years ago. And Richard Spangler, Spangler. I could have the first name wrong, but I'm sure it's Spangler. It's called The Call. It should still be, I would hope it would still be in publication. It's been out for several years. And it explains how the call may be simple as a smile at someone. It may be telling you the smallest of steps that are taking you to those very large calling. So go ahead, this is the week to start answering those small steps as you receive what is your call. And if you don't yet know, as you take those small steps, you will be given glimpses of what that is, and you will be led into that calling. This is the week for that, my friends. Let's see what Philip has for us. As you know, one of my books, The Master's Book of Answers by Philip, it's an oracle book. Every page has a different answer on it. So we just flip through and we say, Philip, what do we need to know for this week? What's our response? And some of you like to think left or right page because we have to decide. So go ahead and make your decision, and I'll tell you, I heard left. And here's what I heard, here's what Philip is saying on the left page. It says, you cannot gain love from that which you condemn. You cannot gain love from that which you condemn. Well, my friends, condemning and speaking up or speaking out are not the same. As spiritual beings on our spiritual path, as human beings on our spiritual path, we are guiding the spirit through our humanness. And so do we speak out? Yes, I think we do speak out if we and we act out against an injustice, but we do so in love, not in condemnation. And how is that different? We speak out for what is right. So keep your mind on love. Remember, you cannot gain love from that which you condemn. So speak out in love. It is going to be another week of strange weather patterns. It is going to be another week of political upheaval, but it is important. Your calling is waiting for you. Step into it, my friends, and then speak out in love. And I remind you, unconditional love is not the absence of boundaries. Unconditional love calls for healthy boundaries. Start the dialogues with each other, not to condemn each other, but to hear each other, to truly listen. I love you, my friends. I'm so grateful that you've been with me today. I thank you for adding love to the world. I thank you for being with me today. I'll see you in March. I love you. I love you. Thank you for accepting that love. I love you. I love you. I love you.